Hi, today we'll be learning about the Python programming language. What are the basics and some of the examples of it. Let's coming to the next slide, contents. Here we'll be learning about the basic concepts of the Python programming language, some of the applications, variables, what are the keywords and some of the identifiers, what are literals, what are the operators, and what is the data structure of the Python programming language, some conditional statements which are involved in it, what is flow control, and what are the loops involved in the Python, and functions, what are functions, as well as file operations, and what is exception handling in this PPT. Let's coming to the next slide. What is a Python? Actually, it was created in 1991 by Guido van Rossum, and later on as it was named by Monty Python's Flying Circus, as it is a interpreted object-oriented high-level programming language. And later on it gained a popularity because as it has which has clear syntax and it is a readability language. So it has gained a very much popularity. In the next slide, we'll be seeing the Python applications. Desktop application, automation, web development, artificial intelligence, data science, data wrangling, exploration, as well as visualization. Let's coming to the next slide, Python variables. A Python variable, it is a kind of a reserved memory location where it can store the values. Actually, we can say in the other words, a variable in Python programming language which gives the computer certain data which has to be processed. As a variables are containers for storing some different data values, unlike other than the Python programming language, as Python has no command for declaring such a variable. In the next slide, we'll be having the Python tokens. Here, Python tokens are different types, as one of them is keywords. In keywords, there are different kinds of keywords are available in it. One of them is if, else, in, for, while, and, or, true, false, etc. Like this, there are different type of keywords are available in Python language. And next, coming to the identifiers, we'll be having kind of ABC, AB123, AB underscore 123, XYZ, PQ, A underscore 1 underscore 123. So here we can identify different types of Python identifiers are available in Python tokens. Coming to the literals, there are different types: string, numeric, boolean, none. And coming to the operators, in operators there are different types are there: arithmetic, relationship, logical, membership, etc. And coming to the punctuators, we can see flower bracket, open parenthesis, closed parenthesis, hashtag, @ semicolon, etc. are available as a punctuators. In the next slide, we are having data types in Python. In Python, there are two types of data types. One is immutable data and the other one is mutable data. Again, in immutable data, there are different types of data types. The first one is numeric. In the numeric also there are sub kind of data types, which is int, float, complex. And the next type of immutable data type is string, and as well as tuples also. Let's coming to the mutable data. In mutable data, it was kind of different from the immutable data. They are list, set, and dictionary. Let's coming to the next slide, conditional statement. Here in the conditional statement, we can see if statements and if else statements, as they are supports the usual logic conditions from the mathematics. We can see some of the examples as where A equals to B, which means the equality symbol has to be double, and where not equals to symbol is available, as one of the apostrophe as well as equal to symbol is placed in between A and B. Less than B, less than or equal to B, greater than B, greater than or equal to B. Let's coming to the next slide, flow control. Here we'll be having a if statement. Here we can see the program of the input percentage, as if a student is awarded with a certificate of excellence if he scores good percentage of marks. So we can consider if the student gets more than 80%. So as in the flowchart we can visible will be starting. So start, and then the input percentage will be visible. So if the percentage criteria is more than 80%, it will be considered as S. So it displays as congratulations, you are awarded certificate of excellence, and then stop. If the percentage is less than 80%, then it will be considered as no. So both the cases are followed here in the if statement. In the next slide, we'll be seeing the for loop program. Here we have input as fruits, apple, banana and cherry. Here for x in fruits, print will be given as x. So the variables are x in fruit 0 is apple, fruit 1 is banana as well as fruit 2 is cherry. The output will be same as apple, banana, cherry. Here in the flowchart we can be visible that we'll be starting, and then we'll count from 0 itself. If the count is 0, then we'll be executing the statement, and then through on that we'll be adding the one more to the actual count. So if the we'll be again checking if the count is less than 10 or not. So if it is true, again it will be count from the 0 onwards. So we'll be adding one more to that. If it is false, then it will be exiting the loop. Let's coming to the next slide, while statement. Here the input is given as a is equals to 1. When a is greater than 5, we'll be printing as a. So a plus e equal to 2. Here we have some variables. A is 1, a is equals to 1 is less than 5. A is equals to a plus 2, so that 1 plus 2 is equals to 3. If a is equals to 3 is less than 5, then a is equals to 5 is less than 5. So output we have to get is 1 is to 3. In the flowchart itself, we can consider that here we have to start and then check the condition is true or false. If it is true, then it has to be repeat. So it executes the block 1. So if the condition is not satisfied, which means false, it will be directly followed through the exit loop. Let's come into the next slide, break statement. Here in the flowchart we can see that it will be starting from the point as well as it will check the condition. Here the condition is given as if a is equals to 1, while a is greater than 0, a minus is equals to 1. If a is not equal to 5, then it will be print as a. So else statement will be as break. So let's come into the flowchart. It will start and then check the condition, it is true or false. If it is true, it will check the break condition and then it will breaks. If it breaks, then it becomes false. So it executes from the block 1 and repeat to the first station onwards. If it is false, it will directly go to the exit loop. Let's coming to the next slide, continue statement. Here for I in range of 1, 101, if I modulus 3 is equals to 0 and 1 modulus 5 is equals to 0, it will be continue. So it can be printed as I and print of by. So in the flowchart, we'll be starting and the condition is checked here. If it is true, directly it will check through the continue condition. And then if the continue condition is true, then it will go on continue. If the continue condition is false, it has to be executed from the block 1 itself. So it will be repeating the process. If the check condition itself is false, then it will be directly exit the loop. Let's coming to the next slide, loops in Python. Here we having for loop, while loop, nested loop. As in general, as these are statements are executed sequentially. In the first statement, the function is executed first and then followed by the second and then so on. Here in a situation, we need to execute a block of code several number of times, because which means in the code there will be a different kind of loops will be available in a single code. So you need to consider as a block and then you need to execute number of several times. In the programming language which has provided various control structures, It allows more complicated execution paths. In the next slide, we'll be seeing the functions. As a function is a block of code as it runs only when it is called for specifically. As in the functions, you can pass the data as a known parameter into a particular function. As a function can be written as a data in a result. In other words, the Python programming language function can be called as it is a group of related statements that performs a specific task. As the functions make our program more organized and helps in code reusability. The main uses of functions are it can be reused, and it provides organizations to the code, and it provides abstraction also. In the next slide, we'll be seeing what are the file operations as well as file handling. First, file handling is a kind of which can be open a file, writing a file, as well as reading and then closing a file. Coming to the file operations, first it has to be created and then open, it has to be read and then write and then delete, and slowly close, turn, create, flush, write lines, change across some permissions. Let's coming to the last slide, exception handling. Here, the try block lets you test the block of the code is being executed correctly or not, if there are any errors are available or not. And the except block lets you handle the error, which means it will handle the errors which are erased in the try block. And then the finally block lets you execute the code regardless the result of the try and except block, which means it here in the finally stage it will be executed regarding the try and except block.